Laughter can be used to express a wide range of emotions, from mirth to condescending disdain. The first recorded use of laughter in history comes from ancient Sumeria, where it was used for sarcastic purposes, since ancient Sumerians were all terrible at telling jokes. In modern times, laughter is a valuable tool in the construction industry, used to test the structural integrity of building materials. In fiction, laughter plays quite a different role, and is usually used to indicate villainy.
Dear me.
Here are 10 laughs what are good. Number first, Kefka. Gonna start this little list off with an obvious choice. Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. He's got a very famous and distinctive laugh, but it can't go further up the rankings because, well, it isn't as good as it's given credit for. I mean, come on, be honest, it doesn't sound all that much like a laugh, does it? Not like an actual person laughing, with vocal cords and stuff. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if someone's done a dubstep remix of this. Don't link me to it! Taken with Kefka's personality across the rest of the game, the laugh is pretty effective, but it requires an effort of imagination from its audience. Given this era of Final Fantasy games, there's plenty of material to flesh out his character, but without actually knowing something about the man behind the laugh, this doesn't quite have the effect that it could. Number 2. Brick. From Borderlands. This one isn't exactly a laugh, not a single laugh. It's more about all the noises he makes when he's berserking. I figure there's enough laughter in there to qualify for this list. I mean, he seems pretty happy and enraged, and kind of in pain, maybe. You wouldn't think it, but being a vicious berserker warrior who watches his enemies' skulls crack and wades through dozens of corpses every day can carry some deep and complex emotional problems. This collection of noises would always fit perfectly when you are running around like a maniac, punching alien wildlife in what could loosely be called the face, setting things on fire with your fists. It's a shame, really. Gunzerking is fun and all, but what would you really rather be? A short dude blasting out endless streams of bullets, except when you have to wait to reload. Or a psychopathic beefcake giant dashing around at superhuman speeds, punching dudes right in the face until they catch fire. Number next. The bad guy from Strider, whatever he's called. The Grandmaster or something, I think. For those who don't know, Strider was an extremely hard game back on the Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis if you're from one of those other places, and it was on some other stuff too, but who cares. As was fairly typical for the time, the protagonist, that's Strider. The game is Strider, starring Strider as Strider. He strides. Has all the personality of a rich tea biscuit. Usually nemeses get the same treatment. There's only so much you can do with the storage space of one of these old cartridges. The Big Master, though, communicates everything you need to know about him with one simple sound clip. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of depth to his character. In fact, after beating the game, I still don't actually even know what his evil master plan was. For all I know, he could have been fiendishly plotting to disarm all nuclear weapons simultaneously, or was concocting a diabolical scheme to provide permanent, reliable, clean water to rural poor countryer. But even if he was, it still would have been evil. No one with a laugh like that is good news. It's probably the most efficient setup for a game in history, actually. Big black cloak, he's holding the world there and doing stuff to it, and the laugh. Yep, that's all I need to know. Definitely gotta take that punk down. Number something. Shundi. From the Virtua Fighter series. Granted, I might be showing my bias here, what with my fondness for alcohol, but this has to be the awesomest drunk old dude ever. Sure, there are plenty of awesome old guys who'll kick your ass, and there are plenty of drunk guys who'll kick your donkey, but drunk and old is a slightly rarer combination for ass kickers. Shun is about 4,000 years old. He's incapable of dying because he's drunk so much over the centuries that all his internal organs are literally pickled and thus preserved forever. He will stumble around the stage, hiccuping, swinging from his odd, awesome, weird Chinese hip flask thing, and periodically falling over, and still manage to beat any challenger just with the sheer force of his drunkenness. And when he's done, he'll laugh at you. He'll laugh in a way that only the blind, falling over drunk are capable of even understanding. He won't laugh from malice, a love of seeing you beaten, or a need to prove his own strength. He'll just laugh because you fell on your butt. And that's hilarious. Number middle, Sima Yi. By the way, if I'm horrendously mispronouncing all the names of the Chinese people on this list, it's because I've got absolutely no idea how I ought to say them. Or, more specifically, the version of Sima Yi from Dynasty Warriors 7. Yeah, I know, Dynasty Warriors doesn't belong on a video game list because it doesn't really count as a video game, I know! But just listen to this. This is a seriously epic laugh. And why wouldn't he laugh? He's got the second biggest brain in semi-fictionalized China, he's wearing the most expensive looking man dress ever, and he just beat up 5,000 sword and spear wielding peasants with a bunch of feathers. Laugh away, Sima Yi. You deserve it. No one gives a fuck that your son's basically ruined everything. You were awesome. And speaking of sons, an honourable mention to Sima Shi, not for his laugh, but for his smile. Look at that. You see that smile and you know you're fucked. And he knows that you know you're fucked too. Number middle 2. Fattel. Fattel had problems, it's true. It wasn't scary, or fun, or good in any way. But it could be slightly redeemed through local co-op. I did actually manage to enjoy myself a little bit playing the 2-player cooperative campaign. However, this wasn't because adding a player brought a tactical dimension or a sense of camaraderie to the functional yet tepid gameplay. No, it was because of Fattel, this evil ghost dude. Is he evil? I mean, he's fighting alongside the protagonist, who presumably isn't evil. On the other hand, he's got an evil haircut, and he doesn't exactly sound non-evil.
My brother found me. He put a bullet in my head.
I don't know, this game's plot was so dull it was quite impossible to pay attention to. However, Fattel made the co-op fun. Sure, one poor sap still had to be stuck playing Point Man, but one of you got to be this red glowy evil dude who could shoot magic blasts and possess people, which brings me right around to his entry in this list. Whenever you invade someone's brain with Fattel, he lets out this amazing creepy laugh. This laugh says it all. I'm in your head, there's nothing you can do. I'm going to make you do whatever I want you to before you die, and I'm going to enjoy it more than you've ever enjoyed anything in your whole life. It's especially effective if you're playing with a headset because the laugh sounds like it's coming from inside your own ear. Number more, Brian Fury. Yep, no surprises here. Brian Fury was a rather fringe character when he was introduced in Tekken 3, but he quickly became a fan favourite thanks to his badass look, satisfyingly visceral fighting style, and, well, this. Brian has a shadowy backstory, and it's not quite clear exactly how much of a bad guy he is, but we do know that this dude is less than pure. An infamous, skilled yet corrupt cop that was killed in a drug-related shootout, Brian was resurrected somehow by one of the various disposable mad scientists of the Tekken universe. As a side effect, he gained the ability to, well... face it, if you'd come back from the dead and found yourself able to charge into a hail of bullets, kicking the shit out of a whole armoured private police squad with your bare fists, ripping the turret off a tank and hurling it at the fleeing survivors along the way, what would sum up your feelings? Yeah, that's about right. Yes, I know I just said kicking with your bare fist. Shut up now. Number bronze. Kitty Lily, from Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. Goemon. His name is difficult. Together with her partner in crime, Spring Breeze Dancin', Kitty has perhaps the most brilliant, original and off-the-wall fiendish plan to be found in any video game. She wants to turn the whole of feudal Japan into one giant musical stage, complete with a daily performance from herself and dancing of their signature piece. Obviously, this will result in the pair of them being universally adored by the funny, bobble-headed citizens, and obviously this atrocity must be stopped at all costs. However, Lily and Dancing score the upper hand early on, using the element of surprise, proceeding to convert a healthy chunk of mainland Japan as well as the entire island of Kyushu to their kitsch dreams. Since it's not until nearly the very end that they actually look like they're going to lose, Lily often expresses her delight at the proceedings. It's the sort of laugh you hear a lot, especially from a particular flavour of insane Japanese video game woman, but Lily's has to be the most bombastic, uninhibited, perfect example of this archetypical laugh. What a performance. Honourable mention goes to Dancing's own laugh, which is rich and has a satisfying tenor sound to it, but it just can't compete with Lily's. Number 2. Iori Yagami. A few people might have been expecting this at number 1. Iori's laugh is a staple of the King of Fighters series, right the way from his entry in KOF 95 to the current entry. I think he may actually have dropped his laugh in King of Fighters 12, which is yet another reason to completely ignore that game and pretend it never happened. Iori's character is complicated and conflicted. A victim of a blood curse going back hundreds of years, his family possesses a similar supernatural flame-wielding power to that of the series' protagonist, Kyo. However, because of some rather convoluted and in-depth backstory, to cut a long story short, a deal with a super-powerful snake demon, the Yagami clan's flames are tinted purple and cause intense pain to their users. Iori was born into a doomed family. They all die young, and it's worse for the females who, without exception, die in childbirth. They are also afflicted by their blood curse with an uncontrollable compulsion to seek out and kill members of the rival Kusanagi clan. Oh, by the way, Iori hates violence. So we don't exactly have the most mentally stable personality on our hands here. Iori is basically a walking ball of frustration and hatred. And what do you get when you let him vent his anger on another fighter, leaving them broken and unconscious on the ground at his feet? Well, some of that broiling emotion just has to burst out. He starts trying to let it out a little, but then the laughter starts to take hold, and finally it just blasts out in a roar of sinister, victorious mirth. Iori, you're a complete nutcase. Number best, the Happy Mask Salesman. Before I start this, let me make one thing clear. Anyone mentioning Ben Drowned to me will be glowered at. I mentioned it just then, but only so I could tell you not to mention it. So, with this list of loud, long, manic, bombastic, uninhibited, rich, deep, intimidating cackles, guffaws and belly laughs, the crown is taken by this small, quiet giggle. And yet this small, quiet giggle is more terrifying than any mad clown, any insane demon-blooded musician, any Chinese strategist, any mind-raping evil ghost. Why? When it sounds actually quite a bit less malevolent than all the others, why is it somehow scarier? It's a complex laugh. There's amusement there, definitely, but also a hint of both callousness and compassion. There's a gentle note of pity in those quiet harmonics, alongside a subtle tone of dismissiveness. The laugher of this laugh sympathises with you, but deep down he knows that your pain isn't really important. It's as if he's heard the joke many, many times before, but can still appreciate the humour on a critical level. And that's the frightening thing. With all the other laughs, you are being laughed at by someone who's beaten you, however temporarily, as one human being to another. Equals. This laugh comes from someone who doesn't need to beat you. This is a higher being's laugh. It's not like being laughed at by a god. You get the feeling that the salesman would laugh this same laugh even at the creators of worlds. Under the gaze of the Happy Mask Salesman, lives have come and passed, nations have risen and crumbled, worlds have burnt to ashes and stars faded to dust. Creators of universes have toyed with energy and matter, condensed and exploded space, grown old and tired and faded along with their creations. All while the salesman looks on with his unconcerned grin, understanding you and understanding so much more than you, chuckling lightly at your terrible fate. Hey, did you like this? I made it. I'll make more of them. You can subscribe if you like. We've got the website. There's a website too. It's ourbackroom.com. There's a link somewhere. You can go there. There's more stuff. Some of it's written down, so it's not suitable for YouTube because no one comes here to read. And there's other stuff. And thank you. Bye.